Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and greetings from sunny Cyprus. Good morning or good evening. In Cyprus, it's already evening, and I'm very happy to welcome you. And I'm very grateful that you are joining us for our introduction to beautiful island of Cyprus. So before we begin, I would ask you if you know anything about Cyprus. So if you know, can you please put a little plus? Because today my job is to share with you as much information as possible, and I will leave enough time to answer any questions that you might have. Wow, Richard, that's wonderful to see that you visited several times and that you want to relocate. I've been living in Cyprus for the last 22 years, so I myself is a person who relocated there once. So let's start. Today, we decided to call our webinar Cyprus Discovery Guide. So we want to talk a little bit about what Cyprus is all about. Why would you want to relocate to Cyprus? And what are the points to remember? But first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Yianni, and I am CEO and partner of Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty. As I mentioned earlier, I've been living in Cyprus for the last 22 years, and more than 20 years of my life in Cyprus, I've been working in Cyprus real estate. So my point of view is both professional and personal. My children were born here and now they're going to school. My parents live here. So I always look at, even at my presentation, from the point of view of the holistic point of view. As I mentioned, I've been working in Cyprus property for over 20 years and I love properties. Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty is part of Sotheby's International Realty. And I'm sure that most probably you recognize the brand because, especially in the United States, this brand is the statement of the quality of service. And for me, what is important is that being part of the network, we understand very well that you have many choices. Now that you are considering maybe relocation or just curiosity about Cyprus, you know that there are so many other countries open to you. And being part of the network with presence in 81 countries, we understand these choices. And we not only understand them, we can even advise you that what we all usually do during our private consultations with the clients, that sometimes maybe Cyprus doesn't fit for what you are looking for. So this is very important to have the global perspective. How we always say that we provide local knowledge, but with a global experience. Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty is a licensed entity. We have more than 25 people working in the company with presence in all the areas in the southern part of the island, in the Greek part of the island. We work both with developers and with resales, and the team is very multilingual. The most important thing that we always pay attention that we offer you knowledge, efficiency, ethics, and we try to work in style. So today we will talk with you about Cyprus. What are the legal requirements if you decide to move to Cyprus? What are the areas types of properties in Cyprus, because even though the property is property, but it's important to understand the differences. And especially with the properties in the USA, the difference in style and the difference in sizes is quite a lot. Of course, I think that the whole world was watching Selling Sunset. And when I was watching this series, I was paying attention mostly to the properties. And I can tell you guys that in many cases in Cyprus, we can offer you as nice properties, maybe sometimes, well, let's say as nice properties, but at very different price point. And especially now, when we can see that the euro and dollar, the dollar is becoming so strong. So purchase of anything in euro area now is actually an excellent opportunity. We are recording our webinar because lots of people who registered were not able to be present during the webinar. So we will send it out and you will be able to look at it as well. And how I plan to do it. So I will do the presentation, but I try to leave and I will try to fit everything within 1 hour, because I understand that you have the day ahead. So yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time. But at the same time, I want to be able to answer your questions. So anytime during presentation, if you have a question, please type it in the chat and I will either answer during my presentation or I will leave time in the end to be able to answer. Okay, so let's start. Why would you consider Cyprus? So let's go with some of the things that you might be thinking. So if you're worried about your family safety, if maybe you're dreaming about a country with mild climate and no pollution, maybe you decided that you would like to try to live in Europe. Maybe you just feel that you are tired of it all and you want to have a more relaxed lifestyle with very high quality lifestyle. Maybe you're thinking about your children's future and their education, or you like the island pace and the island lifestyle. Maybe you're thinking about the future of your business. Maybe your business interests go further and you're thinking about expanding your business to Europe. Maybe it's the taxes that you worry. Maybe, and from what I know, most probably it's true, maybe you're paying too much in taxes. Maybe you just want to diversify your assets, or you want to invest and preserve your wealth. So if you answered to any of these questions yes, then maybe Cyprus could be a solution, because Cyprus can offer you yes and positive answers to any of the points that I mentioned below. So if we look at just the facts, so Cyprus, official name of the country is the Republic of Cyprus. It's quite a small island, even though it's one of the largest in the Mediterranean. We only have just above 1 million population. Official languages is Greek and Turkish, but everyone speaks English. And in most cases, there is variety of, it's very multinational culture. The capital is Nicosia, or the traditional Greek pronunciation would be Lefkosia. It's part of the European Union, and it has an excellent, amazing location in the Mediterranean Sea, at the crossroad of 3 continents. The currency is euro. Official religion is Orthodox religion, but at the same time, their culture is very open. So What are the advantages? The first and foremost is the climate. It's the one of the mildest places where you have 340 sunny days per year. Like now it's already dark, but the even on my computer I can see that it's plus 25 degrees. I don't know which part of America you are in, but it's a vast country, so I'm sure in some parts it's already raining and cold. Here it's lovely and sunny. There is no pollution because we have no heavy industry, so the air and the water is very clean, which has been confirmed by the award that Cyprus gets that it has the cleanest beaches in Europe. Greek culture is very hospitable, so you always feel welcome. Being a foreigner myself, I can confirm that I never felt a foreigner, I never felt unwelcome. Healthcare is excellent, and after COVID, I think we all pay attention to that. What is very important, and being an island, it's extremely important, is how easy it is to travel. And Cyprus offers you global connection with almost every part of the world. Important to mention that Cyprus is using that Cyprus law is based on British legal system, so everything is understandable and all the documents can be done in English. So it's not the case when you're moving to another country, like even if you go to Spain or Portugal or France, all the documents will be in Spanish, Portuguese, or French. In Cyprus, everything can be in English, so it's very transparent. And even like last week, I was at the conference, they're even planning to introduce English language in commercial court. And yes, I agree, Richard, with you that this is a great point and advantage. And in the last few years, we experienced people who were moving from Spain and France because even though they relocated there, they didn't feel comfortable. They always felt that they're foreigners. So as I mentioned, English language widely spoken. The country is very advanced. So you have modern banking and legal system. You have excellent quality education. And in one of my slides, I will talk more about it. What is very important, Cyprus is safe. And I think in our day and age, your personal safety and safety of your nearest and dearest is of utmost importance. And Cyprus is one of the safest countries in the world. I'm not tax advisor, but I will mention it and mention it again and again. And I have the special part in the presentation about taxes. Cyprus has one of the most advantageous tax systems in Europe. What is very important, it's not gray country and it's not offshore jurisdiction, which is questionable. It's all white, it's all clean. So it is it's really excellent. Cyprus offers rich historical heritage and excellent infrastructure. And I can see the point about safety. Curious, so many properties have metal window guard roll downs. Is this for temperature or security? The metal window guards are used quite a lot in Limassol, and in most cases, this is for temperature. Security, now maybe they're using it, but more on the ground floor. But in general, it is for the temperature. So for security, even though it's not as safe as it was before, like when I just moved to Cyprus, it was habitual that you would never lock your car. And in many cases, you wouldn't even lock your house. Now, of course, if I park the car in the middle of the city, I would lock it. But again, this is something that the world is evolving. And again, compared to other places, it's still very, very safe. So as yeah, welcome to the 21st century, unfortunately. So uh, because we're talking about lifestyle and health is one of the biggest values that we have in life. Our health is something that we all treasure and look after. So, of course, it's extremely important, especially if you move your family or if you consider retirement. So, in Cyprus, you have vast plethora of English speaking professionals all trained either in the EU, UK, South Africa, or States. You can have a choice of two options depending on your immigration status. But I will cover both. So either you can go with a private visit, which costs between 30 to 50 euros, or if you proceed with a certain immigration permits, then you can have access to national health insurance scheme. From what I know, there is no such a wide national insurance scheme in the US. In Cyprus, you do have. And even if you're a foreigner, if you get the immigration permit of certain category, and I will explain you which one, then you have access to YESI. And there you are allocated a personal doctor who would refer you to specialist, and you would only pay 6 euros per each visit. Lots of tests, lots of operations are of very low cost, and you would get discounted or free medicines. What is very important that with this national health insurance scheme, you have access both to public or private clinics. And just to give you some facts or just some statistics, in Cyprus they joke that the men live until 82 and women never die because the life expectancy is very high. What I really like is that the number of people per doctor, you can see. I don't think that very few countries in the world would have such high percentage of doctors per capita. And what was amazing to find out that Cyprus healthcare has actually been ranked as on the 26th place worldwide. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about education. So let's say you moved with your family and you have children. What are you going to do with them? Of course, we all know that now we have online education, but what if you don't want online? What if you are like me, who believe that school is a great social school? That's the place where you learn your social skills, and that's where you learn how to interact. So you have a choice, either free education in public schools, but it would be in Greek, and important that the access is to anyone. There is no restriction by nationality for the access to school. Or you can choose private education. Most private schools will go with British curriculum, and the level is very high, but the cost is much lower than in most European countries. Of course, they vary, but just to give you an idea, for primary school, you would be looking between 3 to 6,000 per year for primary school, and for middle and high school, you will be looking between 5 and 10,000. We have colleges and universities. We have lots of extracurriculum activities for kids, sports, arts, dances. And in general, Cyprus is a very children-friendly environment. Like the families love children. In general, Cyprus is family-friendly society. What I love as well is that now education is not only restricted to youngsters. You are never too young or too old to study. So we have lots of third age hobby groups and activities. So if you decide to retire in Cyprus, and this is very popular option, you would always have like-minded people, and you would always find You would always find people to interact. Now, Richard, you mentioned about the cost. Of course, it's a tricky thing. It's difficult to say what would be the cost per couple. So that's why what we prepared in a way a guideline, because of course one couple could spend little, one couple could spend a lot. So we prepared like sort of starting prices as a guideline. So you if we're looking at utility bills, which is water and electricity, we would estimate that it would be around 140. Again, could be much less, could be much more. The internet is not expensive. There are many packages, but with 25 euros you can get a very good one. Petrol is going up, but still it's much lower than in the rest of Europe. And also the distances are shorter. And with the correct choice of property, you can be in the middle of infrastructure, so you can walk to many places. There is public transport and the cost is just 150 per trip. And restaurant meals, again, there is variety of choices, but you can start meal from around 13 euros and up. Unfortunately, we do not have Uber in Cyprus, but now they started doing car sharing options. But even to purchase a car or to lease a car is not that expensive. So there are these options. I will not go into details, but we will share with you the presentation, or this information is openly available on the web about the temperatures. And even though in summer it can be a little bit hot, but overall it's a very pleasant Mediterranean climate. So now let's move from general description of Cyprus. Let's move to the reasons why people normally invest in Cyprus. Because if you look, and I've looked many times, and sometimes you think, how come that such a small island is so popular? And it is popular indeed. And there are lots of countries, lots of nationalities that invest in life and in properties in Cyprus. So the major reasons have always been lifestyle, which includes relocation or holiday home. This is a very popular option. Taxes is a big driving force. Very transparent and clear permanent residency program, and investment. These were and still are the most popular drivers. But this year, we have a huge increase in transactions, and we have huge increase in interest in Cyprus and investment in properties. What are those additional drivers of demand? The first one we call for ourselves COVID experience. And here I do not mean the doom and gloom. I actually mean the positive thing that came out of COVID. Because of COVID, we all learned new skills. We learned to work online. And that means that we can see more and more people of different ages who now can still work in their companies or run their business, but they don't need to physically go to the office. They can do the same being in much nicer and healthier and safer environment sitting in Cyprus. So it means that they can now have this freedom of moving to Cyprus. Cyprus will not be able to provide them the same employment and same paycheck, but they don't need it because they still work for their companies and get their salaries, just enjoying different location. War in Ukraine brought the horrible thing, but it brought massive relocation where people were fleeing both from Ukraine and from Russia. Financial market volatility no one knows what is happening. Everyone is expecting new crashes, but bricks and mortar in Cyprus, we're still built with bricks. Bricks and mortar still is a good conservative investment. Pending VAT changes, Richard, I only refer to VAT changes in Cyprus, not in America. And I will speak a little bit more about it. In Europe, we all expect increased energy prices. So let's say in the UK, in Germany, in France, the residents are very worried whether they would be able to afford heating their houses just by being a sunny destination. We do not have this. But again, for you, it's less relevant, but it is important so you can understand what is happening with the country. As a government, Cyprus government is very pro-business. So they have created amazing IT and digital nomad incentives where lots of companies are relocating for tax purposes as well. So I will briefly talk about VAT changes because this one change can push the prices up around 14%. It has not been voted yet, but there are discussions in the government based on push from European Union to change the VAT for properties. In Cyprus, for new properties only, not for resale, there is VAT 19%. But if it is your first property and if you are using it for yourself, you're planning to use it not to rent it out, then you have an incentive of 14%. So for your cash flow, you would only pay 5%. What they are discussing now is to change these incentives. At the moment, there is no connection to the budget, to the price of the property, whether it's apartment or it's a house. There is just the rule that you pay 5% only for for 200. What is proposal is that to make this incentive only for more vulnerable people, not for wealthy individuals who would buy expensive houses. So this is only proposal, but there are discussions to connect it to the sizes and also to connect it to the values. Why it is still discussion? Because most sales, they're happening in the higher budgets and with bigger properties. So the argument is that they are discussing something that will have no value because there will be no new properties that would fit. And yes, Richard, this is an incentive to act now. Of course, we do not know when and if and how they vote, but there are discussions about it. So that's why people who already decided that they are interested, that they want to do it, it's better to do it sooner rather than later because you can save 14%. So now we're moving to a very interesting part. And I always mention that I'm not a tax advisor. But if you want to have a proper tax consultation, we would refer you to the best tax experts in the country. But here just the snapshot. And I think when it comes to taxes, when you have zeros, it's great. And here you can see that in Cyprus you have, if you become non-domicile, so you will have zero tax for 17 years on your passive income. You have zero property tax. You have zero inheritance tax. There is 5% pension tax and very low corporate tax. Richard, I would take your question. So girls, can you please copy the question? I would prefer to check it with experts and then answer responsibly. Okay? So, but you can see that tax-wise, it's very good. And I believe that there are benefits for Americans because lately, I would say the last 3 years, we can see increasing interests and we can see Americans buying and moving to Cyprus. So I would just using the common logic, I would expect that if they're doing it, there is a reason for that. And when I was talking to them, they were all saying that it was tax related as well. Let's talk a little bit about property, real estate market. And I don't want to go into details. And in fact, I would ask the marketing girls to send the link in the chat to our website, or you can visit our website. And we just published our analytical report about what is happening in with property transactions. But here, this is just graphically to understand that, we went down in 2013, we had banking disaster, but the country recovered. Then there was a big growth going up. We had a drop in 2020 because I know that in states there was a huge growth in transactions because people were investing locally. But in Cyprus, because we do have very big part of all the transactions done by foreign investors, the island was closed, so we didn't have much transaction. 2021 was excellent, and 2022 beats all the records. Just you can see here in the graphs comparison with the 2021, which was excellent. And just to give you an idea, in the first half of a year, the total growth was almost 39%. And in some areas of the island, we have growth as much as 72% increase. When you're looking in Cyprus in general, you need to understand the geography. And again, girls, please put the link in the chat to our webinar, which was fully dedicated to different areas. I will talk a bit today, but if you want to find out more, we've done the whole 1 hour webinar about different areas. Here you can see the sales to foreigners in Cyprus, distribution between the districts. And you can see that, of course, most people want to go on the sea. They want to be by the sea. They want to have fantastic sea view and enjoy these opportunity. So Paphos and Limassol are the most popular destinations. Now, it's all nice and it's all good. So sounds great. Cyprus sounds great. Property market is healthy. So you understand that there is end user. But being an American, how can you live in Cyprus legally without restrictions? And in Cyprus, there are several immigration programs, but I will talk today about most popular one, which is it's called fast track permanent residency or permanent residency by investment. And here, Cyprus is the only EU country that is offering lifelong permanent residency. The difference between permanent residency permit and temporary residency permit is covered in the name. You do not need to extend it. It's given for life. It's quite low investment threshold. There is no need to renewal. What is very important that this status is granted to 3 generations. So it's given to the investor and the spouse on investor, the parents of both spouse and investor, and to dependent children up to 25 years old. The children will not use these permit when they become older. There is no language exam, no medical tests, no interview. And if, let's say, you do not want to live permanently, but you want to know what residency requirements apply, You only need to visit for 1 day every 2 years. Unless you stay in the country, there are no tax consequences, but as I explained earlier, in many cases it is beneficial. And the application processing period is quite short. Now we put 2 plus because unfortunately, due to this massive relocation, it's not 2 months anymore. Now I would say between 4 to 6 months. And in order to get this permanent residency, you will need to make investment. And in the legislation, we have very clean investment criteria. It is important to invest at least 300,000 euros plus VAT, if applicable. And there are four routes. Either you go with a with a residential real estate, and you will need to buy house or apartment from a developer. It has to be first sale. You cannot buy resale for this permit, and the price should be at least 300,000 plus VAT. So for this category, these changes with VAT could matter. You can go with commercial real estate or with a share capital in a company registered in Cyprus, or buy the units in the investment funds. To be completely honest, in most cases, most people, because they plan to spend some time in Cyprus, they would go with the first category, with the residential real estate, because also for all the other three categories, you will need to have a place of residency. What is very important that if you get this status, this permit, then you can take part in Yianni, in the national health system. Okay, so let's move on. A very big question. Okay, some real estate is non-VAT. Why? And some emphasize did available. This is difference between new build and resales. So the new build is new properties from developer where no one owned it, no one used it. This property, they all come with VAT. If it's a resale property, then there is no VAT. You don't have to pay extra. In a way, it's already in the price. And deeds available, this is the title deeds. When you buy resale property, it's important to have these title deeds, especially if the property is older than 5 or 6 years. By that time, title deeds should be issued, because this would prove to you that there is no mortgage involved, there are no problems connected with the property. If you buy new property from developer, then you would have if the developer has mortgage in the bank, then your lawyer, your legal advisor, would get the bank waiver, which takes the property from the bank, and you have clean right to the property, which will be registered in the land registry. Now let's talk a little bit about what to pay attention and why price can be different. I will try to move a bit faster because there is still quite a few things that I want to cover. So the price will be different depending on the city. And here on this slide, we put from most expensive to least expensive. So Limassol, even though it's not a capital, but it's in a way business capital of the country, it would be the most expensive, then followed by Paphos, Larnaca, Ayanapa, and Protaras. If you're looking in the center of the city or within walking distance to the sea, then again, it will be covered in the price. When I'm talking about distance to the sea, I don't even mean seafront, because of course, if you're looking for a full direct seafront, then it will be the most trophy and the most sought after properties. So they will definitely be more liquid, but also more expensive. Distance to amenities is important because being in such lovely climate, you want to walk everywhere. Apartments are more popular than houses, so in some cases, price per square meter or price per square foot would be higher. It's very important, and here comes a difference between new build and resales. The standards of construction changed a lot. So now the quality and the standard of construction is much stronger. And most importantly, you can see it in the energy efficiency, in thermal insulation. Quality of construction, extremely important, and it will play a role in liquidity. And also now, more and more, if you're especially looking for apartments, or if you want to be part of the resort community, it's very important if you have pool, playground, gym, security, etc. Again, a little bit hello from COVID, when in lockdown, if you had these amenities in your resort or in your project, then it would be much easier. It's very important to pay attention to the maintenance and, of course, legal matters. But we, as professionals in the market, we always check all the properties. We do our own due diligence, and we would advise you on all those points. Types of properties. Why I want to mention it, and I think especially with this audience, it's important because even though everything would be called apartment, I'm pretty sure that apartment in America would be different meaning, not different meaning, but different perception from what we have in Cyprus. And that's why we prepared this slide, so you can understand that if we talk about standards, like I'm not talking about the top luxury project. If we talk about really standard properties, that's what you expect. So if we're talking about apartments, then the standard business class type, we would be looking 1 bedroom, would be kitchen, living and dining area, 1 bedroom, separate bathroom, and the square meters would be about 50 square meters plus veranda. 2 bedroom would be about 80 square meters plus veranda. 3 bedroom, 110 square meters plus veranda. Of course, there are lots of projects that offer you much more space, but for the standard one, this would be the sizes. If we hear townhouse, that would be the line of houses connected to each other. In most cases, they would have a little bit of land, so you can have your barbecues, etc. And size-wise, we would be looking more or less about 85 square meters plus. Here you can see the standard typology, the standard plan. If we're talking about standard house, then in most cases, the perception would be that it would be small plot of land and the house would be about 130, 140, etc., etc. You would have maybe a small private swimming pool, and in most cases, this type of property would be part of community. If we talk about villa or residence, here there are no rules, meaning that this would be your custom-made option with much larger plots, with much larger houses as well. But here you would also call it either villa or a residence. And now we start having some beautiful resorts with this type of properties, but being part of community as well. Sometimes, or pretty often, you would see also the note next to the property, which would be the stages of construction. Because in Cyprus, very often, and it is allowed by both by practice and by law, and it is actually common practice when people buy off plan. It's not only when you're buying completely ready property. So when we're talking off plan, it means that the project is just has just started. This is a very popular option if you want to get maximum from your investment, because the in most cases the difference in prices would be between 20 to 25% from the start of the project and until completion. And yes, of course, you do have a risk there, uh, because you're buying off plan, but this risk is reduced when you're dealing with local based advisors. Let's say we only work with developers who we know inside out. We know their financial statuses, we know what major points you need to put in the contract, but also the government itself and the system protects the buyer. Because when you are buying, you don't pay everything in advance. Everything is, your payment is staggered. Your payment is done based on completion of each stage. Also, your contract is registered in the land registry, be your sales contract. And this, in a way, it's stamped by the government. And what it does, it protects your interest as a buyer. And also, in very unlikely scenario that something happens with a builder, they will be appointing other builders to finish the construction. So this is a very good point. So off plan, under construction would, off plan means that nothing started, but it allows you to get the best financial incentives and the best discounts. It's also very good opportunity to get maximum capital growth. If you see under construction, it means that it's already started. So I think it can be on the level of a structure, first floor, etc., but it's not finished. And the final status would be completed when it's fully completed. I do not want to go into details, and maybe I will just mention just the names so they sound familiar. But please come to our YouTube channel and you will see our English language webinar about the regions. But what I would mention, that even though Cyprus is a small island, every region is unique. Every area has different energy, and every area would attract different type of buyers. So when people are buying for their personal use, we always advise to have a look around to see where they feel better, where they feel at home. So Paphos is the western part where you have most beautiful sunsets and very green area. And just like to give you the best of the best, you can get amazing house on a golf resort, 5 bedroom with a huge plot of land in the nature resort, with 3 million plus VAT, again with stages of construction available. You know, it is always very tricky to choose the properties for the presentation, because we deal with variety of budgets, and we always try to find good value property. So again, huge variety. VAT for real estate, as I mentioned, is 19% for new properties. But if you are buying for yourself and you do not intend to rent it out, then now, according to current legislation, you can only pay 5% on your first 200 square meters. Okay, but again, you can see, like above my presentation, there is a red button, book your free consultation. Go ahead, press it, and we will arrange a free consultation where our experts will be able to discuss in details and answer in details any question. Limassol is this island's second largest city, and it's actually the busiest city and the business capital of the world. Of the world. Oh, well, Cyprus is my world. Of Cyprus, it's hustling and bustling. It's very, very, it's very, very popular. Larnaca, but Limassol is the most expensive. So here we're talking for, again, different prices, but you can see some fantastic options on the seafront. You can see that you have amazing view of the sea, all services, gym, spa, concierge service, very, very luxury and very, very exclusive. Larnaca is on the east coast and it's up and coming destination. You still have lots of potential and very interesting upcoming projects. Like soon we are going to introduce new Larnaca Marina to the market, and it will be very interesting opportunity. And the last area that I will cover is Ayanapa and Protaras. This is more holiday destination. So it has crystal clear water. It has the most beautiful sandy beaches. The one thing that to consider that it's one place that has seasonality, and this is reflected in prices. So now, very quickly, I will cover the buying process because we believe that it's very important. So before we go to the buying process, we always like to discuss with our clients and ask them to do a bit of their homework. If they do the homework, if they do some thinking process, because investing in real estate is an important decision. You are putting in this property lots of money. So it's important to understand what you want to achieve. And if you know what you want to achieve, the result will always be great. So we have the checklist where we ask to think like, why do I want to buy in Cyprus? Which area is good for me? How much am I willing to invest? What property type? These are the things that we would all my salespeople, all my brokers would discuss with you. And then the buying process start with understand what you want. We would always advise you to engage real estate advisor of your choice. We believe that it's an important and very important stage because you immediately have access to the local knowledge of all the things. And what is extremely important that in Cyprus, the buyer doesn't pay broker's commission. Brokers would always be paid by the seller. So it means that you are engaging and get all this knowledge, and okay, of course, you pay through your purchase, but you don't pay here and there. Then after the consultation, we prepare you for your trip. And what do we mean by that? Remember, I was mentioning that one of our values is the efficiency that we offer to our clients. So to make the trip efficient, so you can still enjoy the island and have some rest as well, we would prepare with you viewing itinerary. So we would advise you and discuss with you what properties and where we will be looking. It is important to understand that you will need to prepare some documents. To make the transfers, you will need to have source of funds document, and KYC is know your client documents. Mainly it goes about the source of income. You will need to show where and how you earned the money that you are paying for the property. If you are applying for permanent residency, then we would advise you what documents to prepare. Next step, book your trip to Cyprus, or very often, again, thank you, COVID, very often we do online viewings. Now, all my team, we are all experts in professional professional online viewings. Next step, view selected properties and choose the right one. Appoint local solicitor to cover you for all the legal matters. Next step, pay reservation deposit to withdraw the property from the market. This is an important stage because from the moment that you made decision and from the moment that the sale agreement is done, the transfer has been done, very often it takes time. Sometimes it's up to 1 month, sometimes even longer. So you don't want to lose the property in their active market. So that's why there is this stage, reservation deposit. And then sign the sale agreement, deposit it in the land registry, which, as I mentioned earlier, protects your legal interest, pay for the property, and complete the purchasing process. And the most important and the most enjoyable part is the last one. Everything you do is to enjoy your new home in the sun. And this is how we work as well. So if you would like to engage us as your real estate advisors in Cyprus, then we will do free online consultation with our property expert where we will discuss your goals, why Cyprus, what are the specifics and things that you need to remember. Prepare for the trip. We will help you and we will assist you all the way. So when you're in Cyprus, we would drive with you, show you all the properties, and not only properties related. We will show you things in Cyprus, hospitals, schools, shops. So you have much better understanding where you are. We guide and assist you through the whole process. And by after sales, what we mean that for us, our work does not finish when you buy property. We stay in touch with our clients. So if you need assistance or if you decide to sell, we would always be there by your side. And this completes my presentation. I managed to fit within 1 hour, but let's leave if you want for about 5 minutes so I can answer questions if you have any. So if you have any questions, so please. Thank you. Richard, thank you very much. You made this webinar most wonderful because I felt like I am always talking with you, and thank you very much for all the questions. Okay. Regarding retirement, yes, we made the note. So please leave your details or book the consultations. And by consultation, we will find out for sure their answer. Okay. Mortgages available. Mortgages, yes, the mortgages are available, but banks are very careful. So we will need to check with you lots of parameters. We need to check the age. We need to check the income and many other things. So again, let's discuss it. But in general lines, yes, the banks can give between 70 to 50% of what you need for the property. Okay, Mr. Anthony, yes, we will have it online. So, and please, so you can view the webinar, and also we will be happy to meet with you for online consultation so we can talk in more details. Okay, I think then on this note, I want to say thank you once again for your time, for your attention, for your interest in our beautiful island. I want to invite you to visit Cyprus because it is a beautiful place, and my personal theory that either you fall in love with it and you want to come again and again, and great, Richard, that you're coming in January, then definitely you need to come and visit us in our office, we would be very happy to welcome you. On this note, have wonderful day. Let's stay in touch and hope to see you in Cyprus.